Nej, jeg tror ham. Altså, hvad laver du her?
Me llamo Hector.
¿Y cuántos años tienes?
Tengo 26 años.
¿De dónde eres?
Soy de los Estados Unidos, del estado de Connecticut. Well, it's a beautiful cathedral, you know, it's amazing, the architecture. I'm on my third week touring around Europe, and obviously there's lots to look at in terms of churches, and I went to the Vatican in Rome, and I think it's exciting. It's sort of like amazing to think that back, you know, in the day, people built these ornate monuments based on their beliefs and based on their belief in God, and it does sort of create like a sense inside me saying, okay, these people believe so strongly in it, they built this beautiful structure that took so much time, maybe I should think more about it, and it's a reflection. I'm just here really as a tourist today, but it does make you think. So who is God?
Yes.
God to me is the center of the universe. It's what all the human beings are referring to as sort of the higher energy that has created the entire universe to me. I think we all recognize that there's a higher being, a higher form of energy than ourselves, but we all have different names for it, and we've all established throughout history, throughout human evolution, all these religions to sort of refer to that higher power, higher energy.
Influence does religion have in your daily life?
I want to say it has a lot of influence. I don't practice a certain religion anymore, or I am Catholic, but I don't go to church, and I sort of explore other ideas, sort of to see what else is out there, sort of to keep my mind open on how is the best way to practice that spirituality and that connection to that spiritual higher power. So, you know, every day definitely it's something I think about. I think when I was a kid, I always spoke to God in my head. I always prayed. Sometimes I still pray to my Catholic God, the one from the Bible, because I have no other way of speaking to God, and that's the only way I know how. But I think every day it's a pretty big influence, no matter what I'm thinking or doing. Homosexuality, I have no issues with it. I don't think it's a problem. It's just a different type of person. I think it could even be related to something genetic and scientific, something we don't understand yet. So I don't think there's a right or a wrong in that sense. I just think that it is what it is. It exists just like there's a black person, a white person, a short person, a tall person. There's a homosexual person too.
Do you know some Catholics that had problems with homosexuals, maybe?
Yeah, I think more traditional people, for example my parents, might view it as an issue. They might sort of be confused by it and think it's not right, or that there's something wrong with homosexuality. And my mother is very devout Catholic, so I think being a modern person too, she sort of tries to keep an open mind, but it's difficult to accept that it's something that exists and that it might be okay. Sort of like back in the day when in the United States we were looking at the African Americans as being equals, and they were actually considered only, I think, a seventh human or something like that. So they defined African Americans as being only 1/7 human, and I think that was because they didn't understand that, yes, this is another human being that's normal and it exists. It's not, doesn't mean that it's not a person. So I think more traditional people, conservative people, definitely have an issue with homosexuality. And I would just have to say someone like my mother would have an issue, and she's very devout. So
the younger generation is less Catholic than your parents.
Yeah, I think in the sort of traditional definition of the term, it might be. In other words, I don't think a lot of people in the younger generations actively go to church as often as, especially in America. People don't go to church as often. I don't think they practice or they actually establish that they believe something. I do think that everyone still feels sort of an innate connection to something spiritual, so maybe later on in their lives you start seeing people going to church more often. I've seen that with people my age. You know, we didn't love going to church as young kids, but you see more and more people thinking, okay, maybe I'll start going to church now, and you know, I want to talk to God, I want to do something, and it's really based on what their parents raised them as, or whatever religion they were told they were. So even though they didn't go to church every day, they still go, okay, well, I was raised Catholic, so, or my parents are Catholic, so I'll go to the Catholic Church. I think they might be less sort of defined and established.